6, 5, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to NASA Now. Last week, we looked in on the Slope Lab. This week, it's flight testing. Cool! Hi, I'm Chris, and here's what's happening at NASA Now.
This is STS-133. After safely reaching its launch pad at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, Space Shuttle Discovery awaits the next major milestone for its upcoming and final mission to the International Space Station. The 11-day mission will begin on November 1st. The mission will deliver and install the Permanent Multi-Purpose Module and the Express Logistics Carrier. Discovery will also deliver Robonaut 2 to become a permanent resident of the station as the first human-like robot in space. Be sure to tune in next week when NASA Now features R2 and gives you the chance to ask your own questions of R2 in a Twitter view.
That's NASA Now. Now, let's flash forward to the past!
On December 17, 1903, Orville and Wilbur Wright piloted the first powered airplane 20 feet above the beach at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The flight lasted 12 seconds and covered 120 feet. Just shy of 100 years later, on April 24, 2001, an early test version of Global Hawk, a remotely controlled aircraft, flew non-stop from the U.S. to Australia. This flight took 20 hours, set a world distance record, and made history as the first unmanned aerial vehicle to cross the Pacific Ocean.
Now, fully tested and ready for high atmosphere research, we're here at the Dryden Flight Research Center at Edwards Air Force Base in California. It's December 3rd, 2007, the official unveiling of Global Hawk. And now, here's Albion Bowers, who'll tell us what Global Hawk is doing now.
The GloPac missions, which is what the Global Hawks are doing right now, are meant to do atmospheric sampling to try and understand the mechanisms that are driving weather around our planet. There's a particular weather phenomenon called the polar vortex. A lot of the other storms that we have, even in the United States, are spun off from places that are around this polar vortex. We've had weather satellites to make remote sensing observations of the weather patterns that we have. You see these on the Weather Channel all the time. Well, what this is doing is it's the first time that we've had two different weather satellites, ARA and Calypso, making their remote sensing observations along with an actual in situ observation from the Global Hawk at the same time. This airplane flies very, very high where the air is very thin, about 65,000 feet, and so it doesn't take a whole lot of fuel in order to stay up there. There's no pilot on board the aircraft. It's flown remotely. We call that a UAV, an uninhabited aerial vehicle. And the pilot sits in a cockpit that's on the ground, and you have a computer screen with a map, and you simply move the mouse around on the computer and click where you want the airplane to go, and then it follows that flight path. There's no direct line of sight, and so the commands are linked up from the ground to a satellite and then back down to the Global Hawk. There are some advantages to using pilots and to not using pilots. Obviously, the situation of the Global Hawk with very, very long duration missions, it's advantageous to not have the pilot on board the airplane. There are other times where pilots are still very, very advantageous. People are capable of adapting to different things much quicker if they're a part of the vehicle and feeling what's going on with the vehicle. We require our UAV pilots to have the exact same training as any other test pilot. And so they're required to maintain their currency on all the other aircraft that we have, just the same as if they were flying in the aircraft.
Did you know that in August and September of 2010, NASA employed Global Hawk for its GRIP mission? GRIP, G-R-I-P, stands for the Genesis and Rapid Intensification Program. It successfully flew through and gathered data from Hurricane Earl during one of its violent stages on September 2nd, 2010.
Now, from the high altitude cold over the Arctic to the cold vacuum of space. An estimated distance of 10,000 light years from Earth, where there is no ice cream, but there is radiation from massive stars carving away at cold molecular clouds and creating bizarre fantasy-like structures. These tall pillars of cold hydrogen and dust, seen by the Hubble Space Telescope, are located within our Milky Way in the Carina Nebula, 4 times as large and even brighter than the famous Orion Nebula. Now, it's your turn to be a flight tester. Check out the Future Flight Challenge right here on the NASA Now homepage. Work through the engineering design process to create a futuristic plane of your own. And don't forget, there's still time to enter the contest I told you about last week. Deadline for the Earth Science Week photography contest is October 15th, and the last day for the waitlist challenge is November 1st. That's it for NASA Now. Be sure to tune in next week when we'll meet R2, NASA's Robonaut. See you then on NASA Now.